Hello, everybody. I'm Edith, and today I'm gonna do a presentation about types of participation and their effects. So this is my content. We'll start with why classroom interaction matters, then what are participant structures, cultural differences in participation, mapping participation, silent participation and listening, underlife, which is unofficial talk, and communicative repertoires, and some key takeaways. So the question is why classroom interaction matters. So classroom learning happens through interaction. We know that, and who speaks, who listens, and how talk is organized actually shapes learning. So classroom interaction actually really matters because it shapes the learning. It could increase or decrease the effectiveness of the learning, and participation is not just about talking. Listening and silence also matter, and we're going to talk about them later. So what are participant structures? So they are the ways classroom talk is organized, for example, like whole class lecture or teacher-led review or small group work or independent work. These are all different ways of classroom talks, the in different ways of organizations. And these structures actually influence who gets to speak, how often they speak, or what kinds of language are considered appropriate. So these are essential in the classroom because um, maybe the teacher gets to speak or the students gets to speak. Maybe they speak at the same level or different. Maybe this is like a teacher-centered classroom, like teacher-led review, or we can have some small groups or even independent works in the classroom. And a structure can frame students as either competent participants or reluctant learners. So we're going to talk about them as well. So there are some cultural differences in participation. Um, Based on Susan Phillips' study, Warm Spring Reservation, there are four common structures. So the first one is teacher and whole class. The second one is teacher and small group. Third one is independent work, and fourth one is group project work. And we have an example right here. Native American students participated least in teacher-centered talk. They participated most in independent and peer-based work. So it can differ from culture to culture, continent to continent. And for example, as we said, Native Americans prefer independent work, but maybe in Turkey we prefer teacher and whole class. I mean, maybe teacher and small group as well, because sometimes in classrooms there are some specific students who gets to talk more. So it can be these two in Turkey, but it can differ from culture to culture. So we need to consider about them before judging any students based on their culture background or their participation in the classroom, because it can differ as we told, sorry. And then we have mapping participation, turn taking. So T equals to teacher and S for student. Some There are some ways of turn takings. First one is teacher fronted lectures. As you see, there are too many T's in here. They're just an S, so that means a teacher dominates the classroom while teaching them. And we have teacher led reviews. So these are equal. There are TS, but it only prefers, like, it only affects few students. As we said, there will be some special students, not special, but specific students who gets to talk more in the classroom. So this is like not enough for students to be active in the classroom. And then we have student-led groups is SSS. So it is distributed participation. And I think this is the best one. Every student has to talk, not has to, but need to get encouraged by their teachers to talk actually. And labeling students like S1, S2, or an S3 shows who actually speaks. But we can tell that from the second one, like the teacher-led reviews, there will be some specific students like S1 talks a lot, and then S2 and S3, but there aren't any S40 maybe, because not all the students talk in the classroom. And then we have silent participations and listening. So using Irving Goffman's framework, there are different listeners. So the first one is ratified listeners, officially recognized listeners, like students during lecture, as we said, like specific students. And then we have unratified listeners, bystanders. So these are more like teachers listening to group work, not directly addressing them. Like when you do a group work mm, thing, group work in the classroom, maybe with your peers, the teacher doesn't talk. It just he just or she just listens to you, and this is like an unratified listener, bystander. And teachers can influence interaction even silently, even while listening to you. They can influence the interaction with their, gaze or anything that they make actually. And then we have underlife. So these are some things, unofficial talks that we need to consider about the classroom as well, like whispered peer talk or jokes, side debates, quiet problem solving or notes, gestures, and texting. So these are all the things students do in the classroom. Maybe not the teacher sees that, but they actually can be effective in the classroom. They can increase the classroom interaction, and they can have some benefits. It may sound like, oh, whispering or jokes or side debates or texting can be bad, but we can turn the table and make it something more effective in the classroom. It actually depends on the teacher, but it can turn into something influential and productive. And then we have why underlife matters. I actually said that, but it allows students to test ideas safely, participate without public risk, and continue ideas dropped by a teacher. And as I said, underlife can be meaningful in the curriculum. And then we have individual communicative repertoires. So each participant has a communicative repertoire, like peer language, school language, emotional language, factual language, personal pronouns, and multiple languages. So peer language and school language differs from each other. Um, we don't really talk the way we talk to each other in the classroom. Like when I talk to my friend, it sounds different when I talk to in the classroom, talk to the teacher. And then we have emotional versus factual language. So classrooms often privilege factual and objective language, like passive voice, numbers, or few personal pronouns. But emotional language drives curiosity and fuels motivation, increases engagement. Actually, I think it is connected to underlife as well. So emotional language matters. With just factual language, we can go to a certain level, but even some scientists use emotional language in their work. So it matters. And then personal pronouns and engagement. So not asking where do dreams come from, we use like how do dreams get into our heads. So it actually personalizes the question, and personal framing increases student talk and humanizes abstract content. Like abstract content can be hard to understand for students. So making it more human is easier to understand and easier to participate in the classroom. And there are some key takeaways about this topic, about whole content actually. So participation is shaped by structures, not just students, and silence can be meaningful, as we said, and underlife is often productive. If we use it correctly, it is productive. And then we have language choices matter. Different cultures, different languages matter in the classroom. Emotion and personalization increase engagement. And I think that's all I'm gonna talk about in this video. Thank you for listening.